Welcome to my review of the Numatic Harry. This was a sample supplied by AO.com, but the review is, as with all my others, impartial, and I will mention stronger and weaker points of the product. The standard included package is very much along the lines of what you'd expect, with the addition of a turbo tool, which is at the top central area. The user instructions are a little different to most instructions that I've used. For vacuums in particular, this has a lot of pictures. They're very clear, but what there isn't is much text, which isn't really a problem with the initial setup. You can see here on the right, it even shows you how to remove the face if you don't want that. There's a couple of areas that I think could be a little bit better on the instructions. It doesn't really mention anything about the main filter, how often I should change that, for example. This gives you a brief rundown on the specifications. Now you get 4 bags included with this. There's 3 here and 1 pre-fitted, and they have a flip open section that you put under the silicone seal, and that prevents dust coming out again. Quite a nice little touch. The bent end can be turned around, so that gives you 2 height adjustments on the stainless steel tubes. This is stainless steel again itself. That's the only height adjustment that you have with this particular model, and we can turn this to increase or decrease the flow. Quite a simple method of doing it. They've got a little filter on that, so if you find the suction is too much, just twist it and it lets a bit of air in through that and reduces the suction a bit. Now this is upholstery tool with the brush, so you take that off and use that for the upholstery. The brush works quite well for mats. I also use it in the car. It worked pretty well in the footwell around there, lifting up the dirt. Now you'll notice you can't fit these directly to the plastic end, but what you can do is use the extender which is provided and slot that in. This is why it's here in the pack, and that allows you to use these tools without the stainless steel tubes attached. Onto the combination tool, we have a large roller at the back, and you'll see the brushes around the sides. Use this on the hard floors and then just click the switch at the top, and then you've got that for the carpets. Now bear in mind with this, you need to get the angle right. If it's too high up like this, it will drag, so you need to bring the roller down so that it goes onto the surface. This applies to carpets and hard floors too. Now looking at the power output on this, it's 620 watts, which is a lot less than my 1400 watt Hoover that I have. But I have to say there have been some significant improvements in energy efficiency, so the suction is actually better on this. There's a nice feature here where you have it powered on to the mains and the light comes on, so that you'll never know that you've forgotten to turn on the switch, and you can screw in the hose onto the front here. 2.4 meters length on that hose. You'll also see on the main tool you have a molded area where you can slot it into the back of the vacuum, and it seems quite strong, so hopefully that will hold up over usage. You'll see there's 2 storage areas as well for the other tools. You can't store all the tools on this though. The turbo brush has nowhere to go, and this is the turbo brush here. You can see there's a different moulding on that. You can't fit it to the main unit. There are rubber bumpers all around, and to take the top off you just simply pull out both sides, and here we have the main filter which comes off. This is replaceable as well, and the bag is inside. On the underside you have 2 front rollers, and it has a manual called rewind, not an automatic. This works fine, there's no jams at all. Now doing a quick test now, this is a backdoor mat which gets a lot of use, and I have cats, so this is a perfect test for the turbo tool. You can see me working away here, lifting it up. I haven't hoovered this for maybe 3 or 4 days, just to let the hair build up, and it does a pretty good job on that. You really need the turbo tool for pet hairs because that lifts them up and then sucks them back into the vacuum. You can see the brushes spinning around. Now hairs do accumulate on this, they wrap around. I've had that with every turbo tool I've ever used. It's just a fact of life. You can just pick them off, and you can open this panel to reveal that section if you need to clean that. Now it's not the lightest Hoover around, but it is quite easy to move around thanks to the 2 front wheels. Now doing a test on different carpets, the suction is excellent, it's actually quite strong, but if you find it dragging a bit too much, then you can open up the valve on the bent end area and reduce the suction power. It makes it a bit easier. I might have added a couple of rollers to the side, or maybe redesigned it slightly to make it glide a bit smoother across the surface. But I found once you get the angle right with the rear roller down, it's easier. And if you find it dragging too much, just reduce the power. I think they could design that slightly better for some types of carpet. On other types of carpet, I found it to work quite well. It wasn't too hard to push it. This is my quick test on some tiles. Just push down the switch and you can use the brush, glide over the tiles area or hard surfaces like wood. As far as the hoovering performance goes and the suction off of the vacuum, it's excellent. Really have no complaints. So I'm on a medium pile here and I didn't have much trouble on this. I found the suction was actually stronger on the shorter pile. A couple of shots that I took here just to show you the size of the unit with all the tools stashed on it. The only complaint that I have here would be that the lack of telescopic tubing means that you can't compact it down a bit more in terms of the height, but the shape and design of the unit is actually quite practical from a day-to-day perspective. Couple of points to note with the Harry. Overall, I liked it. I give it an 8 out of 10, more positive than negative. The motor is quiet and powerful. I also like the design overall and the large capacity bags. The cable length of 10 meters is useful. You can get this out to the car, at least where I am, without an extension lead. Downside, maybe I'd go for a different tube design. The combination tool could possibly use a redesign, make it a bit easier to push. There's limited storage space, not a huge issue, but the instructions I think could be looked at again, perhaps a bit more information. But overall, it's a nice unit and it delivers a good performance.